Welcome back, guys. So this is where we left off in our last video. We created the blockout and we just did a simple layout of our scene, okay? And I remember I mentioned that even though we duplicated, we're still going to delete all these duplicates here, okay? Because this was just for us to plan our layout, okay? And that has already been achieved, okay? For example, now I know that I want just 3 rows and 5 columns, a cobalt position this way and all that. So what I'm going to do right now is to delete all the duplicated assets, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to duplicate this whole collection. This blockout I have here is in the collection. Oh, I think I should call this. Please don't worry about these two assets. Okay, I was just testing out some things. So for this collection, I'm going to call it blockout. Okay, I'm going to duplicate the collection. I just right click and duplicate collection. Okay, now I hide this, and for this one, I can call this one assets. Okay, like I said, don't worry about these two collections that we have here. Now for these, I can go ahead and I can start deleting the duplicated assets. So let me start with the floor. Okay, I can delete these ones because I have one here. Okay, and this is named floor. Okay, and just floor exactly. The name is conflicting with the one I have here in the blockout. So now I can hide this. Now for the chairs and the desks, I can just delete every other thing here. And I have just these two left. Okay, desk students. Can just delete this number here. Okay, just delete this one. Hide. Now for this, I have just one. So I just hide this. For these as well, the bookshelf, I have just one. So I hide this. For the blackboard and the other bulletin board, I have just one. So I can hide them. Now for the wall with window, I just delete these two. Okay. And for the plain wall, I delete them because I have one left here. And for the wall with door, so good. So unhide everything, and this is what I'm left with. So you can see we use just very simple. How many objects do I have here? 1, 2, 3, or 8 or so. I use just close to 8 or 9, maybe even 10 objects to create my whole scene. Okay. So now what I want to do is that I want to reset the location of all these objects here by hitting Alt G. Okay, so I need everything to be here back at the center. And I'm going to reset the rotation too. How you reset the rotation is by hitting Alt R. Now I'm going to start with the table. Yeah, that's the desk and the chair. These two. GX. Exactly. Okay, now let me hide the chair and start with the table. Good. So for the table, our height 0.8 meter, the length 0.6, and the depth 0.45. Okay, so with that in mind, I can just tab into edit mode and I select these three faces on top here and I invert the selection. My screencast keys is off. Okay, so I just select the top faces here, Control I to invert the selection, and I hit X to delete the faces. Okay, and now I select the whole mesh. I hit X, limited dissolve to remove those two edges that were there. Now the first thing I want to do is to add in the bevel, but first of all I have to confirm that my scale is okay. Yeah, my scale is okay. Okay, so I'm going to add in bevel modifier. I'm going to bevel the vertices, not the edges, and my segments is going to be 4 and my bevel amount is going to be 0.04. I'm going to add another modifier. That's a solidify modifier because I want to give it thickness. Okay, and the thickness is 0.02. Good, so I like this. Okay, now I'm going to add in yet another bevel modifier. So I'm going to add in the bevel, and this time I'm going to change the bevel amount to 0.002. Exactly, because I just need a tiny bevel there. Now I like this. Okay, this looks fine, and if you compare it with what we have here, it's not far from it, right? So yes, I like this. Now the last modifier I'm going to add is the weighted normal. If I do that, let me shade smooth. Okay, you see I hit shade smooth and we have some weird shading issues here. So when you just add a weighted normal under normals, weighted normal, you see that it fixes the shading issues that we had. I'm just going to change the weight to 100, and just like that we have our table top. Okay, now to create the lockers, there's this locker that we have here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to shift S, that's select, while selecting this face here, shift S cursor to selected. Okay, because I want to add a plane at this level, so shift A, I'm going to add in the plane. Now I'm going to scale it down till about okay, down till about here. Okay, I'm scaling it on the y-axis as well. Yeah, and I think this will do. Right. In fact, I can be precise and make the x-axis 0.5. Yeah. And the y, I think the y can be maybe 0.35, 0.35. And I think I like this. I'm going to move it down a little bit. At the moment, it's at the top of the table. I want to bring it to the bottom. So GZ 0.02 exactly. Now it's at the bottom of the table, just at this level here. Now the next thing I want to do is to extrude it. I'm going to extrude it by a value of 0.15. I think this is good, right? 0.15 is not bad at all, even though this one looks smaller. How about 0.1? So I'll just move it up by a value of 0.5. I think this works well, right? So now the next thing I'll do is just to select these two faces here and delete the faces here, because there needs to be a gap right where you put your books and all that. So the next thing I want to do is to create a bevel. Okay, so I'm just going to add a bevel modifier. Oopsie, my scale. So I need to adjust my scale. Now I'm going to add the bevel modifier, and the amount is going to be 0.02. Yeah, I think this works well. Now I'm going to change the segments to 4. Yeah, this works well. And I shade this smooth. Exactly. So you see this looks good. Okay. Now the next modifier I'll add is a solidify modifier. So I'm going to add the modifier, generate solidify. Okay. I'm going to change the offset because I want it to be added inward. So this is it. I like this. Okay. Now I'm going to add yet another bevel modifier. Now the amount is going to be 0.002. Yeah, and now I can go ahead and add the weighted normal to fix the weird shading issues that we had. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so as easy as that. Okay, you don't have to complicate this 3D model. Now the last thing to do is to create the legs, right? I'm going to add in a plane as well. Okay, I'm going to scale it down, maybe scale it on the x-axis and on the y-axis. Okay, and I'm going to move it to the base here. Let's see, am I doing? Okay, yeah, exactly. Now I'm here. Now all I need is these 4 vertices. Okay, so I'm just going to add in some edge loops here. Select these 4 vertices, Control I. I'm going to delete these vertices. Now I have just the 4 vertices here. Okay. In fact, do I even need 4? I need 2 because I can just do whatever I want to do here and mirror it to the other side. Okay. So now I just extrude on the Z axis and fill it. Okay. Now this, I can move it up a bit, maybe here. That looks good. Okay, and this I can bring it inward. Let me look at my reference image. I think I was following this reference exactly. So I'm just going to move it inward just a little bit, and I move this inward as well, just a tiny bit. I think this is okay. Okay, good. So the next thing to do, okay, my scale is accurate. The next thing to do is to add the bevel modifier. I'm just going to add generate the bevel modifier. I'm going to bevel vertices now. Okay, I'm beveling the vertices. The segments, 4 segments, the amount 0.04 looks okay. 0.04 looks really okay. Okay, now what I want to do is to convert this to a curve and give it the depth, okay, or thickness. Now I just right click, convert to curve. Okay, now I click on my curve data properties here, and under geometry and bevel, I just give it a depth of 0.01 meter. That's all. It's as easy as that. Now I convert it back to a curve, to a mesh rather, convert it back to a mesh. Okay, now I see that I can raise this one up a little bit, yeah, till it's just about the level of the top here. Yeah, I think this is fine. Is it? Not yet. Not there yet. Exactly. Now this is it. Okay. Now all I'm going to do is to mirror it to the other side. And how to do that? I can just click on it. I add you guessed right, mirror modifier. Okay, and it mirror perfectly to the other side. But in case your origin point is not at the center here, what you can do as well is to select your mirror object. Okay, and then you look for an object that has its origin point at the center. So for example, I would have used this. Okay, but for now, our origin point is placed correctly. So yeah, that works. Now the next thing to do is the metal bars here at the base, and then what is this thing called? I'll find out. Okay, now how to do this is that I can just in edit mode select this face, shift D to duplicate, rotate it by 90 degrees. Okay, and put it in place here. Just put it in place here. Now I select this group of vertices here, G, Y, just move it inward, and this one, I think this one is not straight, so I can SY rather, Z to straighten it, and I move it inward a little bit. And now I select it with Ctrl L. Okay, so if you select parts of the mesh, when you hit Ctrl L, it selects the whole mesh. I'm going to reduce the depth by hitting Alt S. So Alt S will just reduce the depth a little bit. Exactly. So this is it. This is it. It doesn't need to be more complicated than this. Okay, as easy as that. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Shift D, duplicate, rotate on the Z axis by 90 degrees. Okay, now what I'll do is that I'm going to enable the clipping. Okay, because I don't want a situation whereby they intersect each other, the mirror objects intersect each other like this. So as soon as I enable the clipping, you see that if I move it, they just clip at that side. That's good. I like it that way. Now for this, I can move it inward as well. G, X, just move it a little bit here, and Control L to select all, and I would reduce the depth by hitting Alt S. Just reduce the depth a little bit. Now this is it. Okay, it's as easy as that. Now the last thing to do, like I said, is the base. Let me quickly look for the name of this thing. I'll be back. All right, so I'm back, and to my greatest surprise, it is called a foot or pad. I never knew that. Okay, so let's create a foot now. Okay, now for this, I'm just gonna select the ring of vertices here. I'm going to duplicate this with Shift D. Okay, now one thing that I will do is that I will change my, oh, it is already on individual origins, but in case yours is not, change your transform pivot point. I think it used to be at medium point or whatever. Change it to individual origins. Okay, and now that way, when I manipulate the objects, I'll manipulate them individually. Okay, so now I'm going to scale this up a little bit by, let's say, 1.3. Well, it depends on you, it depends on the size of your object. Okay, now I'm going to extrude this up. Maybe 0.05 is okay in this case. Yeah, now I fill it, I insert it a little bit. Now I extrude it up again. Maybe something like this will do. Something like this works well for me. Okay, so just tweak the values till you get what you want. Okay, because mine might not be the same as yours. Now, the next thing I will do is to shade smooth, and I'm going to add the bevel modifier to take care of these edges that need to be sharp. Okay, I really don't need the bevel modifiers here at the bottom. I don't think they're going to affect any edge here because I'm going to adjust the angle. Okay, so I just add the bevel modifier. At the moment it's affecting, right? But okay, now what I want to do is to click on this geometry drop down and uncheck clamp overlap. Now I would reduce the value to 0.001. Does it look okay? Yeah, 0.001, maybe 2 segments. How about 0.0005? Okay. Now I will adjust the angle. You see that at the moment it is affecting the angles that I don't want it to affect. Okay, but if I increase the angle, okay, I'm telling it that if the angle is less than this particular angle, do nothing. Okay, just work on the angles that are greater than the particular value that I put here. So now maybe I'm just leave it at 60. Yeah, this is it. So this is our desk. Okay, we are exporting this to Unreal Engine, so we need to optimize our meshes. So that's why I really didn't use much geometry here. I kept everything as simple as possible. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and create the chair now. Yeah, so we are going to go ahead and create the chair now. When we're creating the table, we started with the tabletop and then the metallic part of the main locker itself and then the legs. When the chair, we're going to do it the other way around. So we'll start with the legs and we create the back and then the seats here. Okay, so this is going to be really easy. Let's just get straight into it. Now I've gone ahead and I've unhidden the blockout mesh for the chair, right? Now the parts that I need here is this. That's the height of the seat. Remember, 0.45 meter. The top is what, 0.9 meters, and the base. Okay, now what I want to do in this case is to select this face here. I think I can P separate by selection. Now I select the face. I don't need that edge here. So just A, X, and limited dissolve. Okay, now I need these 4 vertices here. Just the 4 vertices. I don't need the face. I don't need the edges. Okay, now I can just right click, subdivide, select the 4 vertices that I need, Control I and X vertices. Okay, now I've deleted the other vertices and edges and faces that I don't need. Now I have just these 4 vertices here. So now what I want to do is to extrude this on the z-axis. I'm just going to extrude it on the z. Well, I just realized that my snapping is enabled. I'm just going to snap the increment. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to extrude on the z-axis. Okay, so about this level, right? And for this, I'm going to move it up just to about that level. Okay, and for this, now if you look at your reference images, you see that for the legs, the ones at the back are a little bit outside, okay, while the ones in the leg are kind of inward. So that being said, I'm going to select the legs that are in front and scale it SX here to about this point. Now note that I've changed my transform pivot point back to median point. It was on origin, individual origin before. I've changed it back to median point. Okay, now the next thing to do is to extrude this on the y-axis till it's about this point at the back here. Exactly. Now I'm going to extrude it now on the z-axis. Okay, I'm going to fill it by hitting F. Okay, I'm going to fill this also by hitting F. Okay, now if I isolate this object, I will see that I have this really nice profile here, right? Now what do I do next? My scale is accurate, so I just add a bevel modifier. Now I'm beveling the vertices. Okay, now I need 4 segments and my amount, say 0.05, 0.05 would do, 0.05 would do. Really good. So the next thing I want to do is to convert this to a curve, give it that depth, and convert it back to a mesh. So I'll just right click, convert to a curve. I come to my curve data properties here and give it the depth, just 0.01. That's all. Okay. Now I convert it back to a mesh and I just shade smooth for it to look good, at least for now. Good. So the next thing to do is the back, the seats, and then the foots. Exactly. So what I will do now is that I will select this face, select that face, Control I to invert the selection, X to delete all the other faces, because you see I just need these two. Okay, good. Now one new thing that I want you guys to learn is that you see if I select an edge here and I hit V, I just slice it. Okay, so the edges were joined together. Right now I just hit V to slice it, as easy as that. Now I can even separate it by selection. I'm going to separate by selection. Oopsie. Now I just hit this separate by selection. Exactly. Now there are two separate meshes. Okay, now let me start with the back. Now for the back, I just move it closely to the metallic frame here. Exactly. And I'm not changing the height because the height is accurate. Instead of changing the height, I'd rather move this upward. Okay, now I'm going to move this upward as well. We are going to do the same thing we did at the tabletop here to this mesh. Okay, that's creating the bevel, solidifying it, adding another bevel, and the weighted normal. But here's the thing: instead of us clicking our object and adding all these modifiers again, all I have to do is to copy the modifiers from this mesh to that mesh. And how you do it is that you select the object you want to copy to. Now you select the object, you shift and you select the object you want to copy from. Okay, now just click on this drop down here, copy to selected. You see if instantly you've copied the bevel modifier. Now let's copy the solidify just like that. Okay, now let's copy the bevel. I've copied that last bevel. Now let's copy the weighted normal. You see, just like that, we've created the thickness and bevel for our back here. Now, one thing you immediately notice is that the solidify is offsetting at the wrong direction. Okay, so all we have to do is change the offset to 1. I think I need to enable even thickness. I usually enable even thickness for my solidify because most times it tends to give me better results. Okay, now for something like this, you would observe that at the front of the seat here, you see that it's curved a little bit, right? And it's consistent. This is also curved. That is also curved. So we're going to create these curves right away. Now, how we do it is that, okay, first of all, before I create the curves, I want to move this metallic frame till it's about the level of the seat here. Yeah, just move it on the Z-axis. Yeah, that looks good. And okay, I think this is a good time to move these as well. So I'll just select them, move them up. Yeah, and this looks good. Okay, this looks good. Another thing I need to do is that I will select the frame here and I just reduce the general width. Okay, so I'll just move it on the z-axis by maybe a value of 0.3 and do it on the other side. I invert the selection, hitting Ctrl I and GX, move it by a value of 0.3. Now this is okay. This is good. Okay, now the next thing to do is to create that curve, right? The curves I just showed you guys. Now how I'll do it is that I will snap this vertex to to this edge rather, because there are two vertices joined together as an edge, right? Snap this edge to the position of this vertex here, extrude, snap to this, extrude, snap to this, and maybe even one more if I want to. Now before I do that, I have to enable snapping. And what am I snapping to? I said I'm snapping to vertices, right? So look, see what happens. If I move G, Y, limit my selection, limit my movement to the Y axis, I just hit this, just hover over that vertex. You see now I'm snapping to that vertex, okay? I'm going to extrude again. I'm going to limit my selection to the Y and the Z axis. To do that, I just hit Shift X. Okay, now you see that only the Z and the Y axis are active. Okay, now I just snap to this, extrude, Shift X, snap to that, and maybe even one more, extrude, Shift X, snap to that. Okay, so if you want to, you have 3 axes. You have the X, you have the Y, and you have the Z axis. So if you want to move on the x-axis, you just gx. You want to move on the y-axis, gy. You want to move on the z-axis, gz. But now, if you want to move on 2 axes and ignore the other one, so for example, I want to move on the x and y-axis and ignore the z. All I have to do is hit G and shift Z. So it's just like I'm shifting Z aside, if that makes sense. That's all. Okay, so I can do away with this now. Yeah, so you see that now I've created that curve, right? So the next thing to do is to bevel the back here, because this has a special kind of bevel, if that makes sense. Okay, it is beveled more. I mean, look at it. Okay, do I even need to copy this? Yeah, I think I will. Okay, so all I have to do is bevel the vertices by hitting Ctrl Shift B, and I just bevel the vertices. I think I'm going to bevel it by something like this, maybe point 0.1. Yeah, point 0.1 would do. Do I need to increase the segments to 5? So I'll just increase the segments to 5. Mind you, I'm trying to keep it as optimized as possible, so I'm not going to go overkill here. Now this is good. Okay, now for this, I can just Ctrl Shift B to bevel it. Now this segment will be back to 4, and something like this would do. Maybe 0.015. Yeah, something like this is okay. Alright, it's okay. Now I'm going to copy the modifiers from this object to this object. But mind you, I'm not going to copy the bevel, okay, because I beveled it manually. All I'm going to copy is the solidify, copy to selected. I'm going to copy this other second bevel and the weighted normal. Exactly. Okay, yeah, this is it. Not so that detailed, but then it works. It is optimized. Okay, yeah, the last thing to do is the legs, and for the legs I'm just going to copy the legs I created here. Let's select this, Shift D, P, separate by selection. I'm going to select the one I duplicated. I'm going to drag it here. Okay, let me quickly deactivate my snapping. Okay, I'm gonna bring it to somewhere about here. Okay, don't worry about the mirror modifier, we'll fix that later. But for now, what I'll do is that I'll select the base, just shift alt and select the base and shift S, cursor to selected, right? Now I just right click origin to 3D cursor. Now my origin is here. I need to delete this mirror modifier. Okay, now I'm gonna select the base of this, shift S, cursor to selected. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to snap to the cursor. So I'll just right click, snap selection to cursor. As easy as that. Okay, snap selection to cursor. Now I'm going to add a mirror modifier. But here's the thing. The thing is that you see all of my objects have their origin point at the wall origin position, right? So if I just add a mirror modifier, it won't make much sense now. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'm just going to temporarily select an object, maybe like this. I'm going to right click origin to geometry, so that the origin is now at the center. Okay, now when I add in the mirror modifier here, I'm going to change the axis is X. I'm going to change the mirror object. I'm going to use this instead of the origin point. Now it's here perfectly, but it's not going to work for this. Okay, so for this I can duplicate this object. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did by just selecting the ring here, cursor to selected, and I'm going to snap selection to cursor. As easy as that. So just like that, we have our chair and our desk. So in the coming videos, we'll create some more assets, but for now we are good. So see you in the next video, guys.